I just want to affirm what we've been discussing: the sinner need for Christ. If we think about the story of Jacob and the ladder, we saw that when Jacob was sleeping, in a dream, he saw a ladder coming from heaven to earth, an angel descending from heaven to earth and earth to heaven. Okay, I want you to compare that with the Tower of Babel was being built. It was people wanted to reach heaven, and they built a tower from earth to heaven. It brings this scenario where human beings want to access God by their own means, but you see a different scenario where God is approaching Jacob at his worst state, because he was having a lot of thoughts, because his brother was after him. And so we'll be discussing the sinner need for Christ, and we see in this scenario that God is reaching to Jacob, and we see that the angels are coming from heaven to earth and earth to heaven. There's always the thing whereby human beings want to be righteous by our own means, by following the law, by keeping the commandment and doing what we think is the right thing. But that aside, that cannot get us to heaven. What can only get us to heaven is the relationship between us and God, and God through Christ Jesus. We used to think that we can be able to access God by our own means if we do our work diligently as human beings. But the story of Jacob and the ladder reaffirms us that it's God who is making the necessary effort to be able to bring us to him, because by one means cannot be able to reach God. It's God who can be able to reach unto us and enable us to reach to him. Because we see the Tower of Babel was built, but it reached a point where it collapsed, and the human beings were distributed across the world. But we see the connection which God showed Jacob was complete to a point where angels could come to earth and be able to go back to heaven. And I think there's a statement which Jesus said somewhere in the gospel books. He was saying that you will see angels descending and ascending to heaven. So it's an affirmation to us that there's a deep need for us as sinners to depend on Christ, because by our own self it's impossible for us to access God. By our own self it's impossible for us to reconnect to God and be able to be in union with God. So therefore it's a chance, or it's a time for us to think about our salvation and be able to think deep on what we are supposed to do and read the Bible and be able to build a relationship with God, because it's only through Christ we can be able to reconcile ourselves to God and be able to be one with God and be able to find happiness when Christ will come and take us to heaven, and we'll have joy and peace, and we'll be able to enjoy the treasures which God has prepared for us in heaven. May you be blessed.